We have a presentation from Martha Cassidy, International Gathering of the Clans. Just, yeah, press your button and I'll turn you on. It'll flash red. There you go. And now you're on. Leland, Counselor will fix that for you. Just wait for the, there you go.
Maybe it was on the start, wasn't it?
Well, no, they do it.
Okay, there. All right. Don't usually have wheels on the chairs. Is this close enough?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. First of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this evening. As the warden said, my name is Martha Cassidy, and I'm here representing the St. Andrew's Society of Southwestern Nova Scotia. The International Gathering of the Clan events are usually held around the world and are intended to celebrate the influence of Scots who settled in virtually every country in the world, and to serve as a way for Scots who are related to each other, however distantly, to connect or reconnect through their clan identity. Every 3 to 4 years, events associated with the International Gathering are held in Nova Scotia. As you know, our province's name is the Latin translation for New Scotland, and that name, Nova Scotia, has been ours since September the 10th of 1625. And this is the 10th time since 1979 that the International Gathering of the Clans has come. When the International Gathering is happening in Nova Scotia, it traditionally focuses on Pugwash and Antigonish and the Pictou counties, with some special events in Halifax at the Tattoo, and of course Cape Breton. This year, for the first time ever, the official closing exercises for the 2015 International Gathering of the Clans are being held in Yarmouth on Saturday, July 25th. I don't know why we were invited to do this. It may have something to do with the ferry. With place names such as New Edinburgh or Argyll, Yarmouth County obviously had a Scottish influence, but knowledge of that influence has been overlooked as we have recognized other nations' role in the collective history. But we do have a Scottish story to tell, to learn first and then to tell, and the most instantly recognizable symbol of that story, besides a kilt, is the tartan pattern used for kilts and other items of clothing. In Canada, through the efforts of Jean McCarriger Watson of Halifax, Tartan Day is celebrated on the first Monday of April. This year, Monday, April 6th. I assume that your offices will be closed, but anyway. Nova Scotia has a tartan, but so also does Yarmouth. It was designed by the late Saul Gillis, a longtime resident of the town, and the Yarmouth tartan is ours. So I'm here this evening to offer each of you a sample of the Yarmouth tartan. I would love to have you wear it for appropriate occasions and to distribute it to staff members and so on. It would also be appropriate to wear it on July 25th at the closing or at the Ceilidh that evening. And on Sunday, July 26th, there will be a Kirkin at Beacon United Church. And this is a ceremony during which a blessing is called upon for the families represented by the tartan. And each family traditionally brings a sample of their tartan up, and it's laid on a table or something and represented. Now, you would most certainly be welcome at that Kirkin, and clearly your sample of the Yarmouth tartan would identify you as part of the Yarmouth clan. I'm not sure we can do that, but what the heck. Just for your interest, I've just discovered recently that in order for a tartan to be official and to be registered, it has to meet very stringent regulations. It has to have a certain number of colors. It has to have a certain repeat of the pattern and so on, and then it's registered and patented. So Saul Gillis did that, and he did it with 2 tartans, but this is the one that is Yarmouth County, so we can wear it. I thank you for the opportunity. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the opportunity. The tartan, was that not the tartan that we had for the 250th?
No, there was no, there may have been samples of it, but the 250th did not have a tartan.
I thought the sign of the whale. They had
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's right.
So is that, so did the sign of the whale,
I thought they had a tartan that it was. I have a tie. They made. I got a tie made in. I thought it.
in fact, you can only get it through the sign of the whale.
Yeah.
The family has
Yes.
passed the copyright or
Yes.
whatever it is over
Yeah.
to them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Martha, I think this is a great opportunity for Yarmouth County to showcase itself, and whatever I feel, whatever as a councillor that I can help to help your organization or whatever, I'm more than willing. I think it's great, eh? Great opportunity, to show,
Show
what
us.
we can do. Yeah,
Yep.
really. It's
And-
great.
And I contacted at one point, or I was contacted in a conversation, Wilfred Allen indicated that he knew of a squire and a widow who sometimes conduct tours at Chabot Cemetery.
Yes.
And they have agreed on July the 21st at 2, they will do a tour with the emphasis on the Websters
Yes.
and the Marble Lady,
Yes.
and the other people of Scottish
Okay.
descent who are buried in that cemetery. And I think that's,
Yes.
I'm delighted because that pulls it out of just the town
Yes.
and says, hey, this is
Yeah.
a county.
Yes.
You
by all
know,
means.
I like
Yeah.
that.
It would be kind of nice for the warden to wear a kilt that day too, I think. Thank
Do
you.
do you think the warden might have a kilt?
I'm more than keen to have the municipality buy one.
Have you priced one recently?
I know.
Yes, Martha, fantastic effort certainly for this summer, and with a name like Cunningham, obviously my interest has been piqued because I do have some Scottish heritage, obviously, and actually my daughter is very much involved with Highland dance in the area, and I have had the occasion to buy a kilt actually lately, not for myself, but for my daughter, and they are pricey. So, but having said that, the Mackenzie School of Dance, as you're probably well aware, performs regularly in Yarmouth and around the province, and you know, they've traveled to Disney World and they've traveled to Bermuda and so forth. So, I mean, my suggestion would be, if you haven't already contacted Michelle Mackenzie at her School of Dance, she may be willing to lend a hand.
She's a member of the St. Andrew Society.
Absolutely.
And in addition to that, the Mackenzie School of Dance will be entertaining at the Cayley on the Saturday evening. And she has agreed that a significant number, I think, of her dancers in appropriate dress will be present during the lowering of the flag. The only 3 things that Halifax, the Federation of Nova Scotia, requested from us was the closing, the lowering of the International Gathering of the Clans pennant or flag, and the Kirkin, and something the evening of the closing. So we have been working very hard to make those 3 events pretty impressive. The Gathering of the Clans will come back to Nova Scotia in 2019. And I think our plan at this point is to go all out as best we can with the people in the association and see how we do, and then to evaluate. And you know, if it seems like it's too much work for not enough oomph to the community, then maybe we'll just let Halifax know that we're not interested. But by golly, you know, we do such a darn good job of this kind of thing here that I have a feeling that what will happen is we'll be more than ready for 2019. I do have a tentative commitment from the 84th Highlanders Reenactment Group, who will set up a reenactment, you know, during the 2019, but they were committed for this one, so anyway.
And just before I finish up,
I'm sorry.
Again, thank you so much, Martha. And I would be willing to lend a helping hand as well. So
Awesome. We may call on you.
Okay.
And we are, I think, the wardens are supposed, you may not have received a letter yet. The president will be sending you one.
Martha, that was very nice.
Thank you.
It's you know, it's nice to see that this is going to happen in Yarmouth. I think it'll bring a lot of people. In saying that, where do the people come from? As far as where?
You know, I'm really, they're coming internationally. Apparently, I have been told that that certainly for the first part of July. So July the 1st is the opening, the official opening, and that always happens in Pugwash. And then they go to Halifax for the tattoo, and then they go back to the various Highland Games that are held. Okay.
Oh, okay.
According to the schedule that I've seen thus far, there's nothing from the 19th of July until the 25th,
Okay.
unless we can do it. So yes, there will be some international visitors. I think there will be more international visitors because of the ferry.
Okay.
What we're trying, I think, to do, I don't think we're thinking that we'll be bringing hordes of people to Yarmouth. I think what may happen, and especially because it's at the same time as Seafest, is I think we'll have people who will stay an extra day, maybe 2 days, and kind of look around and so on. I think that's the best that we might be able to hope for at this point, but I definitely do understand that people from the UK will be here, people from Germany, people from the United States. Virginia has a large number, apparently, of Scottish people. And although the name is Cassidy and my father's name was McHale, there's apparently also a Scottish element on my mother's side of the family. So we were just kind of, so I can't give you a number.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think we're just kind of
Yeah.
doing the best we can and hoping.
And like the other counselor said, if I can be of any help, just. And do you think that by wearing this, that I'll be one of the Klansmen
Listen, you know, I don't see why.
with a name? With a name LeBlanc.
Why not? You know, this is the Yarmouth clan. And interestingly, and I'm taking a lot of your time, and I apologize for that. But there was an expulsion of the Scots about 100 years before the Acadians, and France and Britain were, you know, having a disagreement again, and Britain lost, and they weren't keen on taking the Scottish settlers back with them to the UK, probably because they had cleared their land and were using it to raise sheep. So France said, well, you Scots, you know, if you want to marry into an Acadian family, you can stay. And so there are several Acadian names, Melanson comes to mind, who actually are strongly Scottish. So, a little known fact.
Maybe LeBlanc.
Could be. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't overstay my welcome.
I'll make sure when you send the itinerary out that it's circulated to the fellow
Thank you.
councillors.
Thank you.
And just for clarity, I remember when Saul Gillis did this, he ran Bonda Textiles.
Yes.
You say this is different than the 250th one that was around?
No, there was no 250th.
They used this one?
They used that one.
And it's the same tartan for the municipality and the town. It's
Yes.
Yarmouth.
Yes,
It's the Yarmouth tartan.
Yarmouth tartan. It doesn't say
Yeah.
Yarmouth Town, doesn't say,
Right. Okay.
okay.
And I'm a history buff, but I never realized that about the Scottish. I can understand that happening, you know, but it's funny it's not in the history books, you know.
Well, yes,
It's overlooked, but for sure.
there are several people, however, who have,
Yeah.
who apparently know these things, who
Yeah.
told me this, and
I don't doubt it for a minute.
I get a kick out of it, to be honest with you.
Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that'll be another highlight to the Seafest and what else, everything else that's going on in town that week. So thank you.
We'll keep you posted. Thank you.
Business Horizon 5.1, we will be posting a job position for a manager for the innovation and enterprise development. I'll just make that public here as we're on TV, but there will be ads out in the paper, etc. 5.2, the RIN, that's a standing item, but I will update you that Ken, myself, and Deputy Warden Paquette met with the CAO of the new RIN and one of the board members this morning, and things are moving along. And they're at the front of the pack as far as the province is concerned with the rest of the RINs, so that's coming along well. I'm going to bypass 5.3. Councillor Cunningham, 5.4, did you want to speak to that, or?
Certainly, yes. I was at an event recently where there were a number of presenters talking about the Ivany report, and again, it's about breaking down barriers or many recommendations, increasing immigration, all of these things, and I guess just for our council to be mindful that report's out there, and it's not only for the provincial government to do, but it's for the community, for business people, and also for councils to try to do their part to move Nova Scotia forward as a province, and southwestern Nova Scotia, I guess, for us in particular. So those would be my comments. Thank
you. Moving on to new business, you have the February development report. You've all had a chance to go through it. Would someone move the acceptance of that report? Do we have a seconder? No further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. You have 6.2 as a recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee. You have some PAC members here, so Councillor Anthony.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the development agreement with Scotia Wet Property. And that goes to a public hearing. Is that all in the same motion? Or is that just a development agreement, so its own entity? Okay, thank you. I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Question?
Question being called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. 6.3, curbside collection and transportation of source separated solid waste contract. Councillor? You might, okay. It was on. Okay, good. There you go.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the curbside, I'll get it all right here. The curbside collection and transportation of source separated solid waste contract to Wasteco.
Moved and seconded.
Question.
Question being called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. 6.4 is the Rail Trail, Yarmouth Municipal Business Park Connector Trail. Did you have something to add to that, Ken, or was that just on there for?
We received tenders for that work, and have received back a recommendation for the award of the tender to R&D Harris Limited, which was the lowest tender, for $94,777.38. So that we can, if we can give approval to the award of that, we can get going with it.
Counselor?
I'll make the motion to approve the tender that was just detailed by our CAO to R.D. Harris for the rail trail Yarmouth Municipal Business Park Connector Trail.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Question?
Question being called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion carried. 6.5 is you have 2 requests for funding. So what's the wishes of council? 6.5, 1 and 5.2. You're on.
Provided there's no, and I don't think there is any urgency to this, I'd move that we move it to budget. Move both those items to budget.
Was not time sensitive, Liz. Okay. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Question been called. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Contrary, nay. Thank you, gentlemen. 6.6, you have some 15-year-old files there that there's a request to destruct those.
I'll move that we authorize the destruction of the files is circulated in our agenda.
Thank you. Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion?
Thank you, Mr.
Good.
Chair. I guess through you to the CAO, Ken, those files, how long before they would be destroyed, and would it be permissible for a councillor to go through a couple of them?
We have to retain them for 7 years.
Yes.
These are a bit older, and they're just some we
Yes.
came across in
Yeah.
files that it's not the type of files we're required to keep, like they're not
Right.
agreements, contracts,
Right.
or that nature, but
Yeah.
certainly if you wanted to look at them
Yeah.
before they're gone.
Well, there, if I may, Mr. Chair, there was a couple in there that I'd just like to peruse through, and when I started marking down the numbers that I thought were file numbers, there was a couple of them had the same file number, so I didn't mark them all down. So how long before, I have no problems supporting the motion, but I just want to know how long before you guys, so I can maybe make some time to come in, like, is it a week's time or a month or tomorrow morning?
You tell us how soon you can come in, and we'll hang on to them till then. I mean, we've had them for that long now.
Okay, so if you, okay, I can discuss that with you after?
Sure, sure. We'll hang on to those for.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
Question on the motion, Mr. Chair.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. 6.7, can you quick on the UARB hearing? The conference call.
Yes, last Thursday, the URAB held the boundary review hearing here in the council chambers. And Councillor Trevor Cunningham was in attendance, along with the planner and myself. And we conducted the hearing, the UARB conducted the hearing via teleconference. Basically, it was, as you know, we put the application forward with respect to the boundary review, requesting that we retain 7 councillors, or 7 districts with 7 councillors, and tweak a few of the boundaries to better reflect communities of interest. So some of the boundaries were altered slightly, as well as the boundaries were where some of them previously had used roads as boundaries. We did away with that, and because that caused a lot of confusion, where people on one side of the road voted in one district, people on the other side in another. So those lines were redrawn, and now through today's mapping and GIS technology, it's much easier to put those maps, those lines on a map. So they were all adjusted accordingly. The hearing went quite smoothly, I believe, and the decision should be coming out in 2 to 3 weeks. All indications were that pending just clarification on a couple of issues which have been forwarded. Indication was that the application would be approved as submitted. However, it's not official until we receive that ruling. Councillor Cunningham may have something to add to that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I guess it was interesting for me to attend. Long story short is that the changes go into effect for the only after the next, as far as representation of various councillors, only after the next election has occurred. Having said that, for the purposes of the election, the changes within the boundaries will be enforced. So really, they're only enforced for the election period, the RIC period. Then after that, you actually represent the people in those areas. So, and again, I think the changes that were forwarded by us were reasonable. And I think they better represent communities of interest. So, interesting process, and was glad to attend. I think we've all done our due diligence around that item.
Thank you, Councillor and Ken. You have committee reports there, and moving down through them, and recommendations from in camera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to settle the YAIC contra to the municipality as presented today.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Question being called. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Do we have any more? Okay, I didn't think so. I think we, the Scotian Web can, what's that do now with the, that's been forwarded to council? That goes to the next meeting to have the first reading?
The development agreement was approved earlier on the agenda, and the curbside collection contract has been approved.
We need a motion to go to public hearing.
We will be moving forward with the advertising for the position for Manager of Innovation Enterprise Development Program.
Tonight, do we need to, the recommendation was moved to council on the Scotia Windfield. Do we need a motion now to move that to a public hearing or the first reading, or?
That was dealt with under the planning advisory recommendation on the agenda.
So that one, now we'll set a public hearing for that? Pardon?
Yes.
April 22nd.
The date's already identified.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
In that
Good.
correspondence.
No other business, gentlemen. A motion to adjourn. Thank you. And thank you, Martha, for coming out.